Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. And today we've got a special guest. We have got Ash on the channel. Ash, how you doing, man?
Hades, I'm doing great, man. It is update day. We got a lot to talk about. How you doing?
100%. Yeah. I mean, I've just come from a video on Ash's channel where we talk about what's going on with the Guardian Ring, mistakes that you should avoid. So I will ping that down below. You can go and check that out once you finish watching this video. But in this one, we're going to talk about 2 ways to save Raid. I mean, Ash, just kind of throw it out there. How doomed is Raid right now, in your opinion?
Well, clickbait aside, I'm just joking. I think that, dude, I think there's some things to be concerned about, right? There's some red flags going on right now, especially with Guardian Ring, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And I know that you're a huge proponent of getting fixes in the game to help remedy the time issue, right? We don't want to be spending 10, 15 hours a day on Raid, especially doing things that we feel like chores, not things that we actually enjoy in the game, right?
Yeah,
like
100%.
focusing on teams and champions and upgrading and stuff like that. Like, that's what I enjoy. I don't enjoy watching the same champion do the same thing over and over and over again. So you did a great job bringing that to light. I remember you're the first person who really brought this issue to light. I don't know, it feels like 6 months ago in a video, the #1 issue in Raid. So, you know, I'm worried about that a little bit, especially as they add more compelling new content, right? If we're going to have a robust PvP system, if we're going to have a Hydra clan boss, I mean, that's all exciting, but it's also more stuff that we're doing every day, right?
100%.
And then the Guardian Ring, I'm sure we'll talk about a lot, but I'm concerned with, furthering the gap between the haves and the have-nots, to put it, I don't know.
Well,
to put
I
it
feel
shortly
like
there. Yeah.
I feel like they're the 2 main things to chat about right now. Guardian Ring's really important in terms of, people are focusing a lot of energy on this right now, and overall I think it's a cool thing to implement, but there's some changes that, like today, I would do just to make sure that it feels right for the future of the game. And you mentioned time there as well, so I think we'd kind of pick them up together. And it's weird to do this video because I've seen a lot of other content creators over the last 48 hours drop the video, which is kind of like, is Raid doomed? When you do this type of thing, the game generally fails in the next 12 months. And it feels weird to be talking about it because they've just done the what's next in Raid. I was pretty hyped and buzzed about that. It feels like there's some really cool stuff going on. But it is important to kind of stress these points because otherwise it almost just goes to the wayside. And it's like, well, we're focused on something else.
Absolutely.
So,
And as I don't even know what to call us. I hate saying content creators, but whatever. As creators here, I think it's our job to a certain extent to pass on these concerns as well to PLARIUM, which we do. And I feel like sometimes it feels like you're hitting your head against a brick wall to a certain extent. But other times, especially if you look at, the 30,000 foot view, the macro level, I feel like we do, not just us, but Reddit, the community at large. I think that the feedback does filter through, although it's tough to see in the day-to-day. So I think these types of conversations are important to have as well.
Okay, well, let's kick off with the Guardian Ring. It's just gone live.
Yes.
And
all the sparring pit tips, right? All the pro tips.
Yeah. yeah. The sparring pit is still up there.
Sparring pit. All right. I got
you.
Yeah,
so I guess, look, we just talked about on your channel how you can avoid some big mistakes, but I feel like the first mistake was made when the empowering champions part was released in the game. And Ash, I've got to say, I watched your interview with Cirilla, and I'm pretty sure, quote me if I'm wrong here, that she said empowering champions will not be that strong and it's not going to completely kind of change the game. It was something along those lines.
If I recall correctly,
go for it.
So I'm just going to be real with you, and I might be wrong too. I mean, I interviewed, but who knows? I'm getting old. My memory's fading here, bro. So I heard from a few other sources. I'm not going to name names, but I heard that there was like a Q&A between a few creators, and I think I had the opportunity to, but I didn't ask any questions. And they said, I think they gave an official answer to us, privately, that they wouldn't impact stats. Because I did hear a couple of creators say that publicly, right?
Oh, okay. Base stats, yeah.
Base stats. But when she came on my channel, I recall her saying that it would be more than cosmetics, because I asked, the question is okay, we're kind of worried about the gap between the ultra big spenders in the game, the whales, and everybody else, even decent spenders, right? Like you and I, we're still, people don't realize, we're still a long ways away from the really massive spenders.
Oh yeah, we're a country mile away from that. And
yeah, we're little.
We spend a lot.
We're little, small sharks or something, and they're massive whales. So my concern here is so she answered kind of she was a little cagey, right? And she said that essentially there'll be more than just cosmetics, but she didn't go to the extent of the stats. And the stats I feel like are unbelievable. And you should
Yeah.
share you should
What?
share what you've seen that you shared on my channel with your viewers as well.
Yeah. So
Like
I've
the
seen a
Lady
couple
Kimmy
of
thing.
builds. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen a Lady Kimmy build over 415 speed. Just let that sink in for a second, while still hitting over 500 accuracy. Like, just think, like, if it was just the speed, I'd be like, damn, that's insane. But hitting such a high stat on a required stat as well in accuracy is literally mental.
Yeah.
And then I've
Yeah.
seen the Trunda over 8k attack, over 330% crit damage, while still moving, while still being like 170 speed. So
Yeah.
still fast enough to do the work, and that's in Savage gear. You know,
And this is the issue, right, Hades, is that like, some people might be watching and thinking like, why is that a problem? Like why does that concern me,
yeah,
And the issue is we know, it could be coming in a few months, it could be coming in a year or two, you never know, right? But we know they have said that 2022 is the year of PvP, of a real
yeah,
PvP system
yeah,
added to the game. So that's the concern, is going against, it's already a little bit of an issue in my mind that you have to have a certain gear threshold, which is insane. It requires a ton of spending, right? Let's
yeah,
just call it whatever, $10,000 to $20,000. I'm probably really undershooting that number to compete in Platinum Arena towards the end of the week, right?
yeah,
But now with this empowerment bonuses, having to have 5 copies of a legendary, who has that first of
yeah.
all,
Whilst
and then
also having the dupes to fill up the faction guardians as well. You're kind of got the double requirement.
yeah,
I get close actually. So my barbarian faction is the only one that I fill up in terms of the faction guardians, but that means I don't have any empowerment that can be done at all. Yeah, so that's the closest I get to being crazy is the barbarians, and that's nowhere near what some of these guys are doing right now on specific PvP champions.
yes,
And that's the
it's
concern.
concerning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I will say as well, and I said this on one of my videos. This game doesn't revolve around PvP today. There's one game mode where this will affect anybody negatively, and that's if you're trying to push for Plat Arena. I think if you're just a guy that hangs out in Gold 4 and collects your Great Hall medals, I don't think much changes, honestly. You might go up against someone that's got an extra 10% health. Well, probably if you blew them up before, you probably still blow them up today. The concern for me is the challenge is that kind of top 500 players have just considerably moved past everyone else again to the point where, if you're starting the game today, I don't think you ever get into that kind of plat world. I just don't feel like it's possible. You'd have to play the game for multiple years to get anywhere near it, even if you're a massive spender. So I don't know.
completely agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree, and it's a fair point too. That everybody, and you made this point on my video on our collab as well. But everybody who logs in today is in a better situation than they were yesterday as it pertains to PvE, right? Everybody.
Yeah.
So that's a win. I can't say it's all bad, but it is a concern overall. So what are you thinking about on Guardian Ring? Like, what is your big changes?
Yeah, so I feel like Faction Guardians pretty much nailed it. And
Yes.
I really like that system. I think it's good.
With one problem, though. With one problem.
What's that?
The champions collect size, man.
Oh,
They
yeah,
gotta
yeah,
increase
yeah.
that along with the update. Who hasn't? We talked about this too,
Yeah,
but
100%. Yeah.
who has enough champions? Like,
Yeah, I don't fill the
like
rares
all
up
my
because
champions.
I just
Yeah.
didn't keep the rares. Like I just didn't have
No.
space to keep those rares. So yeah,
Who
it's
has 5 sets of dupes on every faction of rares? It's like,
yeah.
I guess I have a reason to use my mystery shards now. Other than
Yeah.
food.
Yeah, so
I don't
other
know.
than the space thing, and we kind of talked about if they just implement something around space so that once someone gets put into the faction guardian spot, then it doesn't eat away at your normal space. If they make that kind of quick change, then I feel like faction guardians for me as a dupe system kind of nailed it, and I think it's actually really strong. I think it's good for the game and it's kind of fun. Gives you something to work at. You can literally go and farm rares yourself if you want to build your rare. If you've got Cold Heart or an Apothecary, you can go and farm those rares yourself to build all of their stats today. You can just go and do it in campaign. Bam. So that part of it I feel like is strong. But for me, the first thing I would do on empowerment is scrap the current system. I would say divide every number that they've got in their kind of empowerment bonus by 10. Yeah, so where it was 40%, it becomes 4%. Where it was, plus 30% crit damage, you end up plus 3%. Like literally minor changes. Nothing hardly happens at all. But I would swap it to visuals. I would swap it to first empowerment, you unlock this legendary skin. Next empowerment, it's a slightly cooler one. And they upgrade. People love that stuff. They love it more than this. They love it more than these stats. I'll tell you that.
They really do. I agree 100% on that. I think it's a great idea, because people will still do it.
They'd still pull shards for it. If there was this really cool looking Ultan, I would be all over that. I would love it.
And I agree with you too. Still give a little stat boost. Doesn't have to be all cosmetic, even though you could argue that's a good idea too. But give a little stat boost and aesthetic upgrades, and heck yeah, man.
Yeah, different weapon they're holding, or just something different. But I feel like that's the direction empowerment should have gone, not this crazy stat boost. I mean, and it is although it's not affecting base stats, still talking about basically implementing another whole Great Hall worth of stats onto somebody's champion, which is a lot.
It's insane. It is insane. And not to backtrack here, but one final thing on Faction Guardians too is I agree with you. It's the best part of this by far, but I will ask if you were in charge, would you make it like Great Hall where you can choose where your dupes are going? Or do you like that there's kind of that linear fashion and nature to it where you start with HP, attack, accuracy, etc.? Because I would rather have it where we can choose which stats, obviously,
That would make more sense. I guess they put speed at the end because it's be all and end all in the game to a certain extent.
But in defense, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. It would be better to have some sort of choice over it because there's not many people that are going to get into the last couple of categories. Certainly in Legendary, even in Epic, it's quite tough.
Yeah.
But that would be better.
Okay, so I agree with you 100% on empowerment. I mean, that's a pretty easy one. And then the worst feature.
I mean, the thing for me, which I'm most disappointed about, honestly, because I feel like empowerment is only going to affect, probably 1,000 people that play the game, honestly, or maybe a couple of thousand people that are pushing for plat, will want to push for plat. However, the life token thing is the thing that I'm most sad about because it feels to me like this should have been the system for the average player. If I play League of Legends, if I get some duplicate champions or skins on League of Legends, I throw them into a mixer and I get a random one out the other end. If I throw 3 into the mixer, I get a random one out the other end. And in this system, we're talking 6 to 8. Not even just I can put my crappy legendaries in the mix. Dupe legendaries. It's so far overpriced. It's insane. It's like they don't even see where we are anymore. They're so far up there.
It's nasty, man. It's nasty. It doesn't feel good. And this is my least favorite part as well. It's almost like they should have just left this part out, right? Because not only are you trading in, 6 to 8 of these legendary dupes to your point to get one of these, but you're also sacrificing so much in potential empowerment or guardians, So it's a massive sacrifice. We talked about this a little bit on my channel too, but when you unbind a champion, they could, even if it's a crappy champion, they could very well go buff that champion in a month. And you'd be pissed off, man. You'd be like kicking
100%.
yourself, So that's a concern. I think that, I don't know if you have any fixes, but my idea would be if they're going to keep the token trader, which they are, in unbinding, I don't see any reason why we can't trade in duplicates of rares and epics just for smaller amount of life tokens. That way, hey, I know that I can get Sir Nick in 3 months if I just keep trading in my epics, But otherwise, most people look at this and they think, I'm never going to have enough dupe legendaries to get one of them. And even if I do, I'm probably going to be better off taking advantage of Faction Guardians.
Well, they've just given everybody 500 life tokens. And I honestly, I did a joke video today. It's not landed that well because people are so aggravated about what's going on. But when I was in the content creator chat, they basically said, well, 500 life tokens, that's the equivalent to a legendary. And I'm like, whoa, people are not going to see that because most people will never touch this system. Or if they do, then they've got way more champions than kind of sense, honestly. Because, just throwing in that many champions for one is too far over the top. And I honestly, if I feel like what you said there with the epics and the rares, perfect. Like, this is a grindy game. We know it's a grindy game. We're expecting it's going to be hours of our day, and we're kind of come on to that in a minute, but at least time invested to get something back. And they've taken away the chance of giving you the grind here. So, you know, we can grind for rares. We can grind in campaign and get those rares.
And dude,
Give us a reward for that.
Blood Twin is a grind in the bazaar, and people, I mean, generally speaking, people love that. You know, like, hey, I can get my hands on one of the most useful champions in the game. It's going to take me a while, but I can do it. There's a route, there's a roadmap to get there. Not really the same in Guardian Ring. However, I will ask you this: let's just say that you personally, right, as a decent spender in the game, right, myself as well. Let's just say that you just need a Manaya here, who's 2,500, a big bargain, right? And you really wanted her, would you be tempted as a spender, taking away your advice to other players? Would you be tempted to go for her? Because that's kind of the question I'm asking myself right now.
Yeah. So Manara is the only one I don't have actually out of this group.
Okay.
And in my brain right now, I've written off Token Trader 100%. It is
okay.
And I think the only thing that would make me change my mind is if Chris was sitting in there. Honestly, like, that's the truth. Like, if it was me choosing a champion and it was 8 of my dupes for a Krisk,
you're right.
I mean, it would still be extremely painful, and maybe I still wouldn't do it. I don't know, but it would at least tempt me because it's just a champion that I've wanted for so long. But I still feel like it's totally over the top in terms of price. Like, if you can't get 100 for an epic or 20 for a rare or whatever, then you can't. It just costs too much of your account to get any of these champions right now. And my view is 2,000 points max, and something else which is just kind of like 1,500 life points for a random back, or maybe even 1,000 would be better. But you know, you're throwing 3 in to get a random one back. I also just feel
is it guaranteed non-dupe? Is it a guaranteed non-dupe, or could you get a dupe again?
Same as what most games do. It's just kind of like you will get any of the legendary pool back.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's a perfect system at all. I'm just trying to be like in the middle of what makes a bit of sense for the game, but also it's kind of like, you know, most people play this game are gamblers, and they've got that kind of instinct in them that they want to kind of have that gamble. Well, that would be the gamble, is, you know, 3 in for a legendary back. I don't know. If it was non-dupe, I think it would be a bit too powerful, honestly. But probably better. But it would be probably a bit overpowered for, you know, someone who's got a lot of the champs.
I honestly think keep it the same, and just like I think, you know, looking back to my previous idea, I think that the rares is probably a mistake, because you could just campaign farm dupes all day and then you have every legendary. But if it's epics, you know, and they give you, you know, 50 life tokens or 100 life tokens, I think still at least there'd be that road to, okay, I can get my hands on these champions eventually, because I'm going to pull epics, you know? But right now, I don't know what other solutions other than deleting the feature could be out there.
The only other thing I would suggest is, you know, when you finish farming up Drexar in the bazaar, where that spot used to be, it just gets replaced with whatever it is, 20, 50, whatever life tokens. So you're now buying the equivalent of where Drex was. It's now a life token buy. So every day you go in, then you buy yourself 50 life tokens with gold bars, because in effect, that duplicate that you've already got is in your account. You know, they just remove it. Well, let's have something else to do with gold bars, or something like that, or the, you know, the clan shop. You know, somewhere where you can go in and still do work. You know, there's a what's it, Yannicka right now in the clan shop as well. So once you've got Yannicka, just flips into life tokens.
How much do you think 500? If they, well, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Do you think they'll ever sell packs of life tokens?
I don't think they will.
I don't think so either, because they would be so incredibly expensive if they're truly valuing them at 500 as a guaranteed legendary. Because think about it, sacred shards are like whatever, $33 or so, you know, or 25 pounds or whatever it is, you know. And I feel like, how much would they price that at? You know, $500 for 500, it'd be incredible, you know. So I don't know. I don't.
It's almost a bit too close as well to that.
Yeah,
selling a champion, which has never gone down well. It's never gone down well in the game.
So I hope they don't do it. I don't think they will, though.
No, I can't see it. But yeah, so
I mean,
did you have any other suggestions on the Guardian Ring before we kind of move on
No.
to the time thing, because we're kind of 20 minutes in. I know this is a big
Nah,
topic
man.
as well.
I tend to ramble on, Hades.
And that's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, man. Nah, dude. I think this is that's all I have for ideas. I think we gave some pretty decent ideas. I'm curious to
Yeah.
see what your viewers think as well. I'm sure they have some ideas that we didn't bring up. So drop a comment. We'll read
Yeah,
them.
awesome. So look, let's get on to timing game then. And as you say, I've spoken about this a number of times in a number of guises, and they are talking about and slowly doing things to improve it. I feel like way too little and not quickly enough. So I guess hit me with 3 areas of the game that you'd like to see sped up, and kind of what would you do?
Okay, first and foremost, I think that the anything that uses keys as a currency in this game, I don't think they'll ever do this, to be clear. But I think in Cirilla in that interview said they have a way to use like 2 keys at once that they're working on to be released at some point, which again is nice. It's kind of like super raids being added to faction wars and Doom Tower boss farming.
Yeah.
However, I just don't think it's a good experience. As I said at the beginning of this video too, I don't think it's a good experience for anybody to be doing the same thing over and over again. You're not like, wow, these visuals are amazing. You're not enjoying it.
We're not going for the _1 speed like they do in the
right?
in all the big cinematic stuff. Yeah.
You're not showing your friends, let me slow this down and watch it for an hour and a half straight. So I think that anything that uses keys, honestly, I don't know about clan boss. That I'm interested in your opinion. But faction wars and Doom Tower bosses should honestly just be one click and you get your resources. I know a lot of other games have that. I was playing Marvel Strike Force, and they have that in a lot of areas. Once you beat it one time and you're able to 3-star it, for example, right? Kind of like campaign. Once you 3-star, then you can just use your resources and use your keys and get your resources, get your glyphs or whatever. I mean, do we need to watch every single day the same champions run the same thing and this gets the same red boss in faction wars? Same thing with the Doom Tower. Really not, So that's the biggest area I think is an easy fix,
Well, I'll just chime in on that one then. So I actually completely stole that idea listening to one of your videos once, and I was like, that's a great idea. Literally, I was just like, putting that one on my time savers. I love that idea. The keys thing is just kind of like spot on for me. And the only thing which I say differently to that is you have to beat it for the first time that day. So, because I think the concern is you put all your best gear on one faction, they beat up that faction war boss, you never see it again, and then you just move all of that gear onto your next faction. So I think from Raid's point of view, they're kind of like, well, we still want you to use your champions and use those kind of experienced champs. So
that's a good point.
You beat Griffin for the first time today, well then you get your 15 keys. Also, don't need to watch any more. You just get your 15 refill keys done. And like you say, I mean that saves a ton of time. Plus, you still have to retain the ability to beat it.
That's perfect. That's perfect. It's a great addition to that idea. So, because I didn't even think about that you could just move all your gear and forget about it. So, I mean, of course they could do a spot check and say, okay, you failed or you succeeded, but that's not a good solution. I think your solution is much better. So, yeah, it's still gonna cut down your time dramatically.
Hugely, yeah, and it still keeps the fun of the game alive in terms of when Doom Tower respawns, you've still got to go and beat those bosses and still kind of be involved in the game, because I've played these other games as well, like the Marvel Strike Forces and Dragon Champions and those sort of things. And once you beat something, you're right, you just kind of auto through it. I will say, though, on those games, I lose interest quicker than I do with Raid. Because you end up playing less and less of the game. So I don't want
But is that really a concern in Raid, though? Like,
no, but this is it. You need a balance. And I think the balance would still be test yourself, but don't completely reduce the fact that you need to play the game.
Honestly, out of all of our ideas, I think that maybe I'm just way too optimistic and I'm a naive idiot fool here, but I think that's like a really solid idea. And if PLARIUM is watching right now, which I know you are, PLARIUM, I know you are.
Come on, PLARIUM.
Come on, that one you can agree to that, right?
Yeah.
Come on, I mean, I really swear there's a data scientist or somebody from their marketing team that's just like, okay, we've got these guys playing an average of 12 hours a day. It's incredible. They're like, no way. The investors are like, you're kidding me. And they're like, we have an idea to make them play 13 hours a day. And it's just, it almost feels like, and we're not playing. We have our phones or our computers on somewhere in the background. We're not enjoying the game,
That's it. You can almost hear it now. It's kind of like, how many ads did they see pop up in that time? They're like, 7,320 ads on average per day. And it's like the investors are just rubbing their hands together.
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Let's
It's
bring it to 8,000. Let's bring it to 8. Frank, put it to 8,000.
well,
Dude, yeah, I can totally see that. But honestly, if they did that key thing, man, I don't
yeah.
think they need to. I think they keep super raids all the time. There's always one
Just
super
turn
raid
it on.
rotate.
Just
Yep.
yeah.
And but I honestly, like, I could be greedy and say I want super raids all the time in every single dungeon. But truthfully, I actually think the super raids were actually pretty cool. Like, we need more overall. But if they did the key idea and they kept super raids all the time,
Just
and I think this is
rotating.
important too, they always correspond super raids to a tournament going on in that specific dungeon, which
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have been doing. I think that honestly would be a huge step. And I think that I'd be happy with that and then see where things go from there, you know?
Yeah. Honestly, some of the things they're already talking about, like the quality of life improvements in the tavern, I think already that's pretty solid. I think the quality of life stuff they're talking about in terms of leveling a champion and that type of thing, and removing champions that are already maxed out from view, all of that type of thing, they're already onto it. Like I say, I wish they'd drop that with the other tavern changes that they made, rather than kind of drop the thing which is more pay to win versus the things which is quality of life for everyone. It's a shame they've done it in that direction, because it screams again like, oh wow, why have they done it that way round?
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
that's a real shame. And places like the Forge is just so damn slow to do things like this. But like you say, I mean, there's a ton of stuff we could do. The other one I would call out is probably just give us a 4x speed or something on Clan Boss, because those fights really do last a long time. Anyone who's running an unkillable team,
Oh my god, dude. Yeah.
it's like an hour of your day done in 2 fights.
I know. And then when they have these dumb, forgive me for saying so, but I'm not a big clan versus clan tournament guy. When you have those on, you almost feel like anything you're doing that's not going to earn you points, in the clan versus clan is even more of a waste of time. I don't know. It just feels like kind of a crappy situation overall. But I agree. 4x speed on clan boss, heck, even 3x speed would be a good start,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, man. Look, I think we've covered a ton in the video.
Yeah.
So look, PLARIUM, if you're watching, please change up the dupe system again. I know you've just thrown it out there, but there's a couple of things that could just make it so much better for the average player. And
one
time
final
in raid.
Thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, one final thing. I'm gonna be rude here as your guest and keep the video going longer. Do you think, like, honest question here, if they make these changes we suggested, for example, do you think they can even do it? Do you think they can even change the token trader right now, given that people have already spent resources in life tokens to get these champions? Like, is it fair to the people who have already wasted their resources?
I
guess if they add the epics, it wouldn't be a big deal, right?
Yeah. So adding ways for people to get life tokens, I think absolutely they can do that tomorrow. And reducing the cost of life tokens, they can do that within 1 minute. I mean, literally you're changing a numbering code. It's no time at all. The empowerment thing, I think they would have to agree for a refund of whatever's gone in, which is harder to deal with. And and I'm not saying refund of cash, like refund of the resources that have been pumped in, like the champions just pop straight back out.
Yeah, that would be difficult, but
it's more challenging. It is more challenging to do. But I really feel like they should consider a way to do it, because long-term enjoyment of the game, especially if they go PvP focused, is massive. It's a massive concern. It's a massive concern if that's the way they want to take the game. As it is right now, that empowerment thing is just going to make the game seem so far away for new players. And this game thrives through new players.
My friend. I concur. We'll have to do a part 2 when if and when they address any of these concerns.
Yeah, I'd love to have them on, and for them to do a kind of like, we're answering this video. This is why we've done it this way, and this is why we don't think your ideas work. I'd love for that. At least then we'd understand it more.
Exactly. Yeah. We'll see.
But, anyway,
we'll see.
Ash, thank you so much for coming on the channel, man. Guys,
pleasure is mine, man.
As I said before, I will pin below the video which we did on Ash's channel, where we talk about some of the mistakes that you could make when you're using this dupe system. Ash, any final words, my friend?
No final words, man. Always a pleasure talking raid with you. Obviously, a lot to be concerned about, but I am still excited about what's coming in the game. So we will see if they address any of these concerns. And again, thanks for having me on, man.
Awesome. Cheers, guys. Catch you later.